Good afternoon, Michael.
Good afternoon.
Actually, we are very pleased to have you here, and we would like to really welcome you to Malaysia Institute of Accountants. And I think this is an interesting conversation, with the development of the accountancy profession. Do you have any thoughts, of a brief, news that you want to share to us on the development of ICAEW and the accountancy profession?
Well, I think in terms of the ICAEW, we are, in many respects, doing extremely well. Mm-hmm. The profession in the UK, which the ICAEW is just one body, mm-hmm. continues to attract a lot of new people who mm-hmm. want to make their careers there. We continue to provide support to business and government as they want, mm-hmm. and arguably their services have never been in the sort of demand they are today. Mm. The market for CFOs and for chartered accountants is very strong, but we have a problem. And the problem is there's been something of a fracture in trust between the business world, of which the accountancy profession is a component part, and politicians, civil society, right. and the media. Right. And that trust has got to be repaired. And it's not a problem unique to the UK, because we can see that in various jurisdictions around the world. There are challenges in Africa, there are challenges in the Indian subcontinent, and these are big problems for our time, and it's not easy to see how they'll easily be repaired.
Right, so this is also an area where much is spoken about, the transformation that needs to happen, particularly within the audit process itself. So what are the key areas of digital transformation that perhaps can be, adopted by firms in terms of handling the audit process?
Well, I think the first thing that probably needs to be addressed is not digital at all, because we have a gap. You can call it an expectation gap, if you like, between what so many of our stakeholders believe an audit should be doing versus what it actually is required to do under law and standards. That gap has been with us for decades, for generations. But today, it isn't satisfactory anymore to explain to people why they don't understand. They're just tired of hearing that. And I think we need to be having a look today at whether or not we need to be changing the product. So the audit product to give stakeholders more comfort in those areas that they're seeking it. Right. And I think that's where the digital transformation part comes in, because the new tools that are now available to accountants and auditors have the potential to do things that we could only dream of 20 years ago.
Indeed.
And they obviously cover things like sampling. You can move from a sampling audit regime to effectively being able to look at 100% of digital transactions. You can use new AI tools to look for patterns that if you were trying to do that with human manpower, it would just be prohibitively expensive. But now you can look at the entire journal ledger of a major company, find 1,000 entries that look unusual, and you can focus your audit testing around those.
Yeah.
We have a little acronym at the ICAEW that we're using that helps talk about all the different tools that are impacting the accountant and the auditor. So it has the handy acronym ABCDE.
Okay.
And the A covers artificial intelligence, B is blockchain,
all right. C
is cyber, D is data, but E is the one that I think the accountancy profession brings a special lens on, which is ethics, because I think it's increasingly becoming apparent that the more we use these digital tools to perform our work, the more we have to understand how the programs and the algorithms have actually been written.
Right.
Because if you're building in bias when you're writing the code, how do you know you're actually going to get the right information out that you then confine your testing to?
Yep. So this is really very interesting because essentially technology actually enable us to move into the higher value chain of the whole process itself. And ethic is the foundation of the profession, and it continues to be very relevant. And this is where I think, in terms of the job of accountants, it looks like that we're moving to a better quality work, with the ability to harness the technology. So, and perhaps you have, some areas where you can share in terms of, emerging kind of roles that accountants can actually take part in the economy.
Well, in terms of that shift, I would agree completely with your analysis. If a role, if a function, if a process can be carried out more effectively and efficiently by a computer program or a machine, there is an inevitability that that's going to happen. So it's something that at ICAEW we've talked about a lot and we focused on, not least of which because when you look at the young people who are joining the profession today, we're making them a promise. And that promise is that they're going to have a career.
Yes.
And we tell them that the ICAEW is a career that can take you anywhere.
Yes.
I don't want anybody tracking me down in 30 years' time and telling me, look what happened to me, the technology replaced my job. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's incumbent on all of us
Yes.
to be honest and straight about that. So what it means is that the accountant, the chartered accountant of the future is going to be moving, as you say, up the value chain, doing more interesting work,
Right.
I hope.
Yes.
But that is work that is going to require a higher skill level. And undoubtedly, if you are someone who's very focused on compliance work today,
Right.
I use that in the widest sense of the word, and that compliance work is little more than putting the right numbers in the right boxes. It's not going to be sustainable in the long term.
You're right.
So you have to be looking at the skills that are going to be needed going forward. So if you were to take one or two of those, where you actually find that the technology is not yet in a position to replace the human, it comes down to things like judgment areas, analysis, decision making.
Yes.
Because decision making is incredibly complicated, and the number of different variables and facets that you have to take into account are enormous. And for a machine to be able to do that, you have to be able to process, you have to be able to effectively program, rather, all of those different variables into the machine in the first place. And quite a lot of them are intuitive, and you actually learn them by experience. So I think these are all areas we need to be sort of thinking of and developing going forward.